Welcome to the 8th episode of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. I'm your co-host, Scott Waddell, along with Caitlin Wesley. And we're sponsored tonight by MCK Truck and Train and Blaine McKenna for all your transportation needs. So make sure you get a hold of Blaine if you're looking to move a horse around anywhere. He's your guy to do it for sure. So this is our 8th episode, and tonight we've got a special guest, and I'm going to send it over to my co-host, Caitlin Wesley, to introduce our special guest for tonight.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, and I'm going to introduce our awesome guest speaker tonight. It's he's always on his game. He's a powerhouse. Top driver there. He's the dual kind of guy. So welcome aboard. And I can't wait to get to know more about you.
There's not much you don't know.
So, well, last you had 221 starts. You had 44 wins, 44 seconds. You had 42. You made 81,000. And your average is 37. That's pretty wicked for 221 starts. So that's awesome, and you've exceeded over $1,000 in your lifetime as a driver. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, some great stats, Redmond. You get 921 lifetime wins, 1.3 million in earnings, and a 367 lifetime driving average. So some great numbers. So again, welcome to you on our show, and we just wanted to ask you a few questions tonight. And of course, when I think of you, Redmond, especially the last 2 or 3 years, I think of Rotten Ronnie. And he was bought back in 2019 for $4,700 at the Atlantic Classic sale. And of course, as a 2 and 3 year old, had outstanding campaigns and had to race the likes of Woodmere Steel Deal and bet him again. So just tell us about his season as the 2 and 3 year old Redmond, and how he kind of came along and matured and having to chase Woodmere Steel Deal for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough chasing him. Any other season, I would have thought I had the boss, but then all of a sudden, Dusty Lane Goliath and Steel Deal and Woodmere Alvin and Elliott Moose, it was a tough year. Tough 2 years, actually. And but no, he got better late in his 2-year-old year. He was a little sticky early on, and his blood was a little bit out of whack when he was a 2-year-old, and he didn't really he couldn't really finish a mile early in anyway. We figured it out and treated him up, and he got better as the year went on at 2. And at 3, well, he was there every week. He competed every week. He paced some miles in 52, and he was an honest horse. He's still in the barn. I didn't sell him, so
yeah.
So we all decided to hang on to him, and he's jogging in Inverness today.
Awesome. So he's definitely going to be back for 2024, and
I'm hoping he has a better year than he had last year. He had a tough year last year. He was sick a lot of the year, and he couldn't get over it. Actually, when we sent him to Ontario, he got sick up there, and he never really bounced back from it. And some days it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So
yeah,
we wanted to see him race on the big track, and lo and behold, he wasn't worth the crap up there. So. And we took him home, and it took him a little while to get over it. And he still wasn't over it all last year. At the end of the year, I raced him in North Sydney, and and he won the consolation of the governor's race down there, and but he was sick, really sick, and
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have raced him, but I did, and I give him actually from that day he only started jogging back 10 days ago, so
Okay.
he had a good rest.
Good stuff. And I think Caitlin wanted to ask you about your experience in the Gold Cup in Saucer with him.
Yeah, I mean, I got to race the
Yeah,
trial.
so
Go ahead.
yeah. Like that must have been like a thrill, your own, and you've had him from a stake, and then you moved him into the Gold Cup. Like that's like that must have been an exciting time.
Yeah, it was it was to race in the trials with him. It was special. We bought him for $4,700. He wasn't meant to be that caliber of horse by any means, and I mean he was over his head for sure, but we put him in it anyway, and hopefully hoping to grab a bone in the consolation, but it just didn't work out. He wasn't himself, and but I got lucky enough. I got to drive bet him again in the Gold Cup final.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he raced exceptional that night. He was very good.
Yeah, no, he raced really well for you.
Yeah.
And he boys, that horse can leave too. And Rod and Rodney, both of them
Yeah,
can leave the gate. So
yeah, bet him again can step off pretty good. Yeah.
and you've driven, of course, at all tracks in the Maritimes, Redmond. Is there one that's kind of your favorite? I know you've got your home track of Inverness, but when you go to Red Shores and places like that, and you've also taken part in a national driving championship away. So where's kind of your favorite racetrack to race?
A lot of people might not agree with me, but I love driving in Summerside.
Okay.
I love the facility there, the paddock, everything set up is perfect. The barns, everything's just right there. The track is, for the most part, if it's in the summer, it's great. And but I don't know what it's like this time of year, but as a driver I love Summerside.
Yeah, well, you've had some great success, especially in stake races and some good overnight horses. And speaking of an overnight horse, I know you get a chance to drive the old fellow there, Euclid, once in a while. And
Oh,
tell us about him. What a classy old horse that guy is.
yeah, he's a different bird, that's for sure. He's a good looker.
Yeah,
He's a bit headstrong, that's for sure.
yeah.
But I mean, he's getting older now. I think he's 12 this year. I think he's just starting to jog back himself. Him and Ronnie are trying to fight over who's the fattest horse at the track right now.
No,
But
there you go.
no, he was a treat to drive. Like especially if you get the front with him, he's going to fight till the end, and he's a warrior. There's no doubt about it. And but there's two sides to that coin. If you get hung out in the outside with him, it's not that fun with him either. But when they put you in the two hole, he's a handful. He's a handful for sure. But no, he's a nice horse to drive for sure. And he gives you an honest effort every time he's on the racetrack. So no complaints with him driving him.
Yeah. And Caitlin, you were going to mention Redmond taking part in the Ontario and the Nova Scotia Driver Challenge.
Yeah, you participated in the Ontario versus Nova Scotia Drivers Challenge in 2023. What was it like to, drive against James McDonald, Doug McNair, Louis, and that's been a thrill because those are like top drivers in Ontario, but James is top driver of Canada. So it must have been kind of a fun but competitive time for you.
Yeah, I mean they're professionals for sure, and they do it for a living. I'm just a hobby guy for sure. but it was nice to drive against them and see how they react, sit in the bike, see how they handle a horse for one, and like Dougie's exceptional. He can make speed, I think, out of a wheelbarrow. I don't know, but James is calm. You don't panic. You just seeing them on the racetrack was I was in awe to watch it. Which what I was doing was watching, and Bobby himself. I'd never driven against Bobby before until that day, and he can drive a horse. There's no doubt about it. But no, it's just they're all talented. That's for sure. Louis, he can make one step off the car as good as anybody. So
Yeah,
you better be ready to go when Louis on the wings.
for sure. And you're one of the most successful catch drivers in Nova Scotia, and you seem to click with any type of horse, whether it be young horse Redmond or an aged horse that you're stepping up on for the first time. What do you think makes you successful? When I think of you, I think of you as an aggressive driver, and do you think that has something to do with it?
I would say when I was younger, I was a lot more aggressive than I am now. There's no doubt about it. And well, I'm older and I'm fatter, so I don't really, I don't have the stamina I used to have. That's for sure. But no, I I look at a program pretty good. I don't just jump on a horse and don't know the horse. I like to do a little bit of homework myself, and it does benefit, but you don't read too much into it. But you like to see a horse's performance for sure before you drive them. And some horses like up front, some don't mind closing. So there's a happy medium there. And I find if you do your homework and you put them in the position, they're going to do what they can do. And it could be anybody sitting on it, if you ask me, as long as they're in the right spot.
Right on. And Caitlin wanted to
Absolutely.
get your thoughts on harness racing, and if there was anything that you might change about the sport.
Yeah, you've been in it since as a driver since 2001. Is there one thing that you would, suggest that would change in the sport? I know this is an open book question, and I know it's probably gonna give all kinds of different thoughts on things, but as a driver, you've gone to all the tracks, you've seen everything, and you grew up in harness racing as it is. So, is there something that we're missing, or do you think we should, strive to do more of?
Well, as for us in Nova Scotia, I believe horse population is the biggest downfall right now, especially in Inverness, North Sydney, Truro. It's standardbred racing, like the horse population has dropped over the years. I remember when Tartan Downs closed in Inverness, we were racing almost 16 races a day because they were coming to Inverness, and
Yeah.
a lot of those people sold their horses because they didn't want to come to Inverness, and so on and so on. But I find the horse population to be the biggest thing, and I don't know what you could change. I mean, purses have to get better for people to buy horses. There's no doubt about it, because the price of everything. You go to truck to North Sydney or truck to Truro, it's not cheap anymore, and it's a hard business right now, and that's why I don't think you see too many. How can I say it? Too many making a living racing horses. Like if they do, they have a big stable. They have a lot of horses. It's hard. It's difficult, and like in Cape Breton, I can't see. I don't think there's one. They're all hobby horsemen, and
Yeah.
it's tough. But I don't know how you change that. Like I honestly, if you change, if it could go to the better, I think harness racing would be fantastic. But what's the answer to changing that? I don't know. That's one thing I'd like to change, but I don't know how you could change it.
Yeah.
because the prices of everything is just it's outrageous right now. So like bale of hay in Inverness is 675.
Yeah. Are there a lot of fractional ownership opportunities down that way, Redmond?
Um, I mean, I mean, not really. I mean, I know my buddy Anthony Beaton I work with. He's in with the stable.ca. He's got
Yeah.
3 horses in Inverness, but he owns parts of I think 3 horses on in the stable, and he's enjoying it. He's having fun. You know, he's watching them on TV, and he doesn't have a complaint with it at all. But as far as a fractional ownership in Inverness, that I know around here, I don't think they're like we have 5 owners on a horse or 4 owners on a horse. That'd be about it. You know,
Yeah.
there's no shares being sold. It's just friends in on horses.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to get your thoughts on something. Last year, Truro went from um, having a post 8 and going with 7 wide and having the 8 horse leave behind. What did you think of that? Do you think there's advantages to it, disadvantages, and um, do you think
I
it
mean,
was a good idea?
I mean, it's fun to try for sure. I mean, it's a disadvantage for the 3 and the 4, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
Once you change the 8 moves to follow the 1, but I mean, and you're starting a length behind everybody else, whether you like it or not.
that's
Um,
true.
Personally, I think it all depends on the horse. If you're leaving 8 and you got a horse that can't leave a stroke, can't get position, well, it's going to benefit you. But if you got a horse that can leave position and you're leaving 8, well, you're going to try for that position. But I don't know. It has its pros and cons. I can tell you one thing: I hate 2 trailers as a driver. I
Yes.
I put that rule in. I don't know how many times. Every time they ask for rules in the commission, 1 trailer in Northside Downs and Inverness. I think it's very dangerous, and
Yeah.
it just seems to fall on deaf ears all the time.
Yeah, especially with younger horses too.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, well, you take 2-year-olds, especially in Inverness, it's a different track. It's not set up for speed, for one,
Exactly.
and you have to be pretty exceptionally gated to go through that turn very fast. And you know, 2 and 3-year-olds, they're coming from Charlottetown, Summerside, training on those tracks, and then hitting this. It's a different world for them, you know. And I just don't agree with 8 horse fields. Period. On in Inverness and North Sydney.
Yeah. Okay.
You've competed in the National Driving Championship, and you most likely will probably participate in the upcoming one, I'm sure. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was a great experience, and I did sign the contract, so I'm in it.
Ah, good. Some more breaking news. We got Corey
Yeah,
too the other night too.
yeah. So it's the only contract I ever signed in my life,
There you go.
other than my marriage certificate.
Yes,
Yeah. No.
I think you went red the year that I think Barrio and yourself went somewhere, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We had a lot of fun. Actually, it was great. Got
I think it was
treated
out
like
west, maybe.
what's that?
Was it out west? Was it?
No, it was in Grand River.
Oh, Grand River. Okay.
Yeah, Grand River. Yeah. No, it was great. I got to see a lot of old friends actually from being out there racing horses when I was in my early 20s. So it was good. I got to run into a lot of people and but they treated us like kings, and it was great. They couldn't do enough for you, you know, everywhere you went, and meals and meeting people, and did a lot of cool things with kids and stuff like that. It was fun. They promoted it very good.
Yeah.
Had a
Who
lot.
won it that? Who won it that year? I was trying to remember.
Oh, he snuck in. He snuck in because of a cancellation. Old Dougie.
Oh, Dougie McNair.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
Louis couldn't drive. He had stake engagements or something. He had to give it up at the last second, and Dougie ended up scraping up the W.
Uh, Good stuff.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask you, as far as we talked a little bit earlier about you competing with the guys from Ontario on a couple occasions now, but locally, what's some of the drivers that you like to compete against, and ones that you kind of are especially competitive and try and get the edge on them?
I don't really. It's hard to say. At home, I'm not. It's not. Everybody is pretty good at home. I don't really get too competitive with anybody at home, but I'd give Trapper the old gears when I beat him when he was driving every now and then. Just throw the
Yeah.
odd dig to Trap, but no, not too much razzing. But I mean, PEI, you go over there, they're all pretty competitive. They're doing it for a living. It's a different aspect, right? Like
Yeah.
at home, we're doing it for fun more than we're not getting rich at it by any means. But over there it's different, and I mean it's always nice beating the best, and like Merrick and Dave and Jason, Corey, Adam Marner. It's nice when you especially when you get them by a nose. You give them a little look over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. So no,
Yeah.
you've done extremely well though, Red, coming from Nova Scotia, and you've got 921 lifetime wins, so you're not too far away from 1,000. You're gonna get there, buddy. So,
Well,
what will that feel like, being like you stated yourself? You're a bit of a hobby horseman and driver. How will that feel to accomplish getting 1,000 lifetime wins?
I mean, I never really thought of it getting that when I started for sure. I mean, driving mostly my career in Inverness, you race for what 3 months a year, June, July, August, September, basically, 4 months a year. So it's hard, but I mean, I was very fortunate. I get to drive a lot of the better horses in Inverness, which helps. But no, it'll be something for sure if I get to 1,000. I said I'd retire when I got to 1,000, but we'll see how I feel.
Now, as far as young drivers in your area in Inverness, so there's some young drivers coming up that you've kind of looked at and said, "Hey, they've got a knack for this."
Oh yeah, there's well, Monica, she went to New
The
Jersey and drove. I mean,
Meadowlands, yeah.
drove in the greatest stage of harness racing. If you ask me, you get to drive the Meadowlands at 20 some years old. That's a feather in your cap for sure. Uh,
Absolutely.
Zach Mullins is doing very well, doing very good, and he's got a pretty good stable there right now. I don't know how many he's got, 6 or something there. He's jogging,
Okay.
and he's busy. And who else has started there that's doing very well? Can't think of it off the top of my head. Or two that
Yeah,
just come to my head.
we've actually got Zach coming up on the next podcast, so we're looking forward to talking to Zach and get caught up on what he's doing. And I think it's great that Nova Scotia came up with, or the Maritimes actually came up with the Pinckney Gamester Young Driver Series, and I
Yeah,
think that's very important for the development of some young drivers.
yeah, no, it's great. It's a great program. When I was started, I think it was a Neil Chops or something it was called. I did it once, and it's a lot of fun. And I mean, you get to meet a lot of people, and you get to drive at a different track.
Yeah,
When you're starting out too, which is a big thing.
exactly. And I think Caitlin wanted to ask you who your mentor is, or who you kind of look up to growing up.
Yeah, as a Nova Scotia Cape Breton guy, you must have had a person that you kind of looked up to get into harness racing, or to encourage you to be a driver. Who was yours?
I never really had anybody encourage me to do it, but I mean, when I was young, I started working with a fellow by the name of Mark Harper. We had a bunch of horses there in Inverness, and we were jogging, training them all together, and pretty much that's what got me into it for sure was working with him that year. And I mean, for him, he'd be one that got me started with it for sure because he actually drove a horse we had when the first horse we ever owned. Well, my dad that owned, I should say I owned, but he bought it for me when I was 11 years old. It was a mare by the name of Webmaster, and Mark always drove her. And so I would say Mark Harper and guys like Gaelic Trapper McQuarrie and Joe Campbell, you know, like they're icons in Cape Breton Island for in the harness racing industry, you know, like Sonny Rankin is on the other side. I didn't know Sonny very well. I mean, I drove for him when I was driving, but I didn't know him very well. But Trapper and Joe would be like icons in Cape Breton Island for harness racing. There's no doubt about it.
Perfect. So tell us a little bit about yourself away from harness racing, kind of what you do. I know we talked off the beginning of the show there, just before we get on, that you work for Bell Lion as a line or a splicer and that type of work. Any other hobbies or anything that you do outside of racing, Redmond, that some people may not know about you?
I love to go to the beach.
I think you just came back from a vacation, didn't you?
Yeah, I just got back from Jamaica. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
My wife and I, we went to Jamaica for a week. It was great. We had a good time, but no, I don't get to the beach very much in the summer because I'm busy working and horses and stuff. So the little bit of money I make driving horses, I put to the side, and the wife lets me travel around, and we get to go on a trip. And hopefully this year she'll let me travel around a little bit. I don't know. Didn't run that by her yet.
There you go. I wanted to hit you with, we had a couple people comment on our Facebook page and ask a couple questions. So I'm going to throw a couple at. There was one there that was on there. I wasn't sure whether to ask it or not. So we're going to leave.
Far away, I don't care.
We're going to leave her out for tonight. But Danny Raven, I think you know Danny quite well.
Oh, Danny, yeah.
Yeah, he was wondering about a comeback year. We talked a little bit about Rod and Ronnie, and he was wondering if you think it might be a comeback year for him.
I'm very optimistic. I'm hoping it's going to be. I mean, he had a tough year last year. Like I said, he was sick most of the year. And knock on wood, it's been. He's jogging 10 days now, and he's been very sharp. So. It's only early, but he seems like he's over his sickness that he had at the end of the year. And I'm crossing my fingers that it's going to be a lot better than the last year.
Awesome. And we had one more from Scott McIsaac, who asks, was there any suspicions that you have on race days? Is there, like, do you have to have the same whip, or do you have some type of superstition before you drive?
Superstition? No, I'm not too superstitious. Actually, the one thing I do usually I like to do is have a good breakfast. That's the biggest thing, and I don't usually eat breakfast. I'm not a breakfast guy, but I like to have a good breakfast when it's Sunday race day. But other than that, I don't maybe clean shaven if I ever do it, but that would be the only other. I think steak day I'm usually trimmed up pretty good, but when the overnight cards I tend to grow a beard. Yeah. I don't usually have many superstitions. Like I don't wear anything under my uniform or anything like that. Maybe I'll have to get one, I guess.
Well, there you go. It could be a 2024 goal. Do you have any personal goals for this year, Redmond, on the racetrack? Like, do you have a win target you'd like to hit or anything?
No, you know what? I just want to stay happy and healthy. For me, it's I wins are wins. As long as the horses race good, I'm happy. And I got two-year-olds there, and Lenny and and my dad are hard at it every morning, and I jog 4 before I go to work every day. So it's uh, it's it's a long day, but we're hoping the 2-year-olds make it and we have a little more fun and go from there. But for as a target, no, I don't. I never set targets because you don't know what tomorrow will bring. So I live for today.
Yeah. What do you have for 2-year-olds this year, and are they looking the part so far?
I have a homebred there. Filthy Phil is his name, and he's going along good. I mean, I haven't gone much with him or anything yet. Our track wasn't the best for training, but it's coming now, so the miles will start going on now. But and we bought one at the sale. JN Star is his name. It's an Earth Blue Chip. It's a nice big colt. So far, so good. I can't complain. So
Yeah.
But and then I got Rotten Ronnie jogging and Dirty Bobby. Yeah. I like naming my horses after characters.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I was
Yeah.
just gonna ask, how
You
do
go
you
ahead.
come up with all these foolish names like Dirty Bobby, Rotten Ronnie? Like, they are all so catchy. I laugh.
Well, Rotten Ronnie, you know the Rankin family, right? I'll tell you the story on Rotten Ronnie. I don't know if everybody knows it, but
Yep.
the Rankin family, I worked with their brother, Ronnie Rankin was his name. And I started work in Bell Alliance in Truro, and I moved to Inverness. I got a full-time job in Inverness, and buddy that we were working with, he says, if you ever get another horse, you got to name it Rotten Ronnie. I said, well, if it's good enough, I'll name it Rotten Ronnie after Ronnie Rankin. So lo and behold, I was training, and he turned out to be a decent horse. And I said, well, now's the time. And I never told anybody until I changed his papers, and he wasn't too bad about it at at the start, but when they started calling him Rotten Ronnie in church, he was pretty cranky. Yeah, but no,
Oh,
he's a
that's a
good
great
fella. I
story.
worked with him for 10 years, great guy, and all my horses are actually, except for Filthy Phil, it's just after Shanghai Phil, but they're named after people.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to laugh. I have to laugh because you said Filthy Phil.
Yeah,
We have a
I
weanling.
seen that.
Yep, we have a weanling by Shanghai Phil.
Yeah,
And her name is Filthy Philly.
yeah.
So I was like, oh,
pretty
when you
close.
said that, I was like, oh, listen, it's very
Yeah.
catchy now that you said it.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully you see him in stake season, and but he's a late foal, but he's doing everything right, so I can't complain.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Redmond, for taking some time out of your schedule. I know you work 5 day a week at least, and
Or this
appreciate you.
week.
Yeah, 4 this week, exactly. So, no, thanks very much for joining us tonight, myself and Caitlin, and we're on episode 9 next week with, we mentioned him a little earlier in this podcast, Zach Mullins is going to tell us about his stable and some of his goals for the upcoming season. So again, thank you very much. Thank our sponsors, MC Truck and Train, for our sponsorship tonight. And some of our future guests include Dave Dowling, Kenny Murphy, Mike McGuigan, and then we've got some outsiders coming in for our podcast as well. Brett Beckwith, along with Billy O'Donnell, Dr. Ian Moore, and James McDonald, just some of the lineup coming up.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good
so
luck.
we've got, yeah, well, thank you very much, and we look forward to that. So again, thank you very much, Redmond, and thank you again, Caitlin, for putting this all together, and thanks for joining us on another episode of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate, and I'm your co-host, Scott Waddell, along with Caitlin Wesley.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.